The Florida Gators roster is in a much better spot than it was last year.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Tuesday. I am Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. It's $150 with any winning $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And I will say today we're talking about the building blocks, which if you're new here, this is going to be a recurring thing that we talk about consistently with Locked On Gators. I love the roster building process in every sport, really. It's incredible to me, and it's just, I love it. And I'm a nerd. Spoiler alert. If you've ever listened to me before, you know that. If you've been here for a while, if you've been an everydayer for a while, then you know that the building blocks of a franchise are something that we're really going to talk about, or a program here. And just a reminder, the building blocks, we're going to talk about the present and the future. The present section, you have to be a bona fide, proven good starter. Okay? I want to say that to make sure that we're not like, oh, well, he was decent for a freshman in a rotational role, so he's a present building block. No, that's not how it works. It's not, oh, well, he was decent as a freshman. That means he'll be good. He'll develop, because we know here, realistically, not everybody develops the way that you expect them to or at the rate that you expect them to. So you have to be a bona fide, proven, good starter, which obviously can be open to interpretation. This is my interpretation of it. For the future section is way less open for interpretation. It's a consensus blue chip recruit with no more than 1 year in college. So if you are a true sophomore or a redshirt freshman, you qualify for the future. Okay? I will make an exception if there's like a true freshman last year, played exceptionally well, but wasn't a blue chip, which that's very rare. So yeah, that's where we're at. Starting with quarterback, the building blocks, by the way: quarterback, wide receiver, offensive tackle, pass rusher, cornerback. Those are the five. The theory being it's Thomas Dimitroff, former GM of the Atlanta Falcons, longtime GM of the Atlanta Falcons. His theory was basically if you're good at those spots, or not his theory, but he executed it well, was if you're good at those spots, you're probably going to have a good football team. And so starting with quarterback, the most important position in all sports, really. Present, Graham Mertz. Future, DJ Lagway. And I will say this, I'll admit, I was a little torn on Graham at the beginning, because the way that I fall on Graham Mertz is that I don't think he's as good as a lot of Florida Gators fans like to say he is. I don't think he's as bad as a lot of non-Florida Gators fans like to say he is, because non-Florida Gators fans can't get the Wisconsin games out of his head, can't get the Wisconsin career out of their heads with him. And Florida fans completely erased it, and they went, well, we haven't had good quarterback play since Kyle Trask, so this is amazing. Both can be true, by the way. I think he lands somewhere in the middle. I think he's a top 25-ish quarterback. And the way that I looked at the present standing of if you are a bona fide proven good starter is I said, if you take this player out of the starting lineup, and am I upset in terms of quality of play? And the answer is yes. I'd be upset if Graham Mertz was not the starting quarterback of the Florida Gators. So for me, Graham Mertz is a bona fide, proven good starter. I don't think he's an elite starter. I don't think he's a Heisman candidate. I don't think he's a Heisman caliber player. I do think, though, that he is a good starter. Not average, not above average. Good. I think Graham Mertz can win you football games. And when Graham Mertz committed to the Florida Gators in December, January 2023, I remember saying that I think Graham Mertz will be better than he was at Wisconsin, but I don't think he's necessarily going to be good still. And I don't think he's going to go out there and win you football games. And here's the thing. He did it once last year and proved me wrong. That South Carolina game, Graham Mertz went out there and quarterbacked you to victory, a come from behind victory late in the game. Like Graham Mertz went out there and did that. And there were some lucky breaks. Sure, the deflected ball that I think it was Trey Wilson caught, I think it was intended for Ricky, got tipped, and Trey Wilson came and caught it. There were some lucky breaks with things like that. South Carolina just completely poo-pooing on offense late in the game. But like, make no mistake, Graham Mertz went out there and, like, you don't win that game without Graham Mertz. You don't. If you have an average quarterback, like just college football average quarterback there, you don't win games there without him. You don't win that South Carolina game. So for me, Graham Mertz is a bona fide, proven, good starting quarterback at the college football level. So Graham Mertz is your building block of the present right now. Because again, the theory is that you want to have a building block of the present and the future at quarterback, receiver, offensive tackle, pass rusher, and cornerback. And Graham Mertz is your proven good quarterback for the present. And then when you talk about the future, which I gotta say every time I say future, I either want to quote future or I want to do the SpongeBob future thing that Squidward does. So I just had to get that one out there. But DJ Lagway, again, you need to be a consensus blue chip recruit with no more than 1 year in college. When we talk about DJ Lagway, we're talking about a consensus blue chip recruit with 0 years in college, but not just a consensus blue chip recruit. We're talking about the best quarterback in the 2024 recruiting class. We're talking about the number one quarterback from the 2024 recruiting class is a Florida Gator. Number one, not just blue chip, not bottom of the barrel blue chip. No, the number one, the best high school quarterback in the country last year. And I mean high school quarterback, best high school quarterback in the country. I don't care if you're talking freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior. DJ Lagway was the best quarterback in the nation last year. Number one, he's a Florida Gator. So yeah, I think you could say you have your future building block at quarterback, not just for 2024, not just for 2025. 2026 as well at the absolute minimum, assuming he doesn't hit the transfer portal, which it's 2024 in college football. Literally anything can happen. These kids are freaking insane nowadays. But as far as building block at the most important position, because here's the other thing also, you could have a building block at every other position. If you don't have it at quarterback, you're not going to be a good football team, more likely than not. So Florida, you have it at the most important position here. You've got your building block. And that's something that I think every Florida Gators fan should be happy about. And I don't care how you feel about Graham Mertz. You could disagree that he's a bona fide, proven good starter. You could disagree that I was on the fence about it. But for me, Graham Mertz, present, DJ Lagway, future, undeniable, future starting quarterback or future building block at quarterback, DJ Lagway. And I mean, just off the start here at quarterback, again, the most important position in all of sports. Every single sport. Nothing's more important than a good quarterback. Basketball, good point guard, sure. Good small forward, sure. Like, you can kind of dissect it because there's so many guys that can do different things. Baseball, starting pitcher, whatever, number 3 hitter, 4 hitter. They can't go win you games week in, week out, game in, game out. A starting quarterback, a good quality starting quarterback can do that. And I don't think Graham Mertz can shoulder the load every single week and then lead your offense every single week with the high octane, high scoring affair and come from behind or whatever it is. But he can do that every now and then, and he won't lose you games. Like he can win you football games throwing the football. Bona fide, proven, good starting quarterback. We are about to talk about the wide receiver and offensive tackle spots, which Those are the final two spots on offense. Then we'll wrap up with the defense. But first, we're going to get a quick word from FanDuel. It is winner take all time in the NBA. Go Knicks, baby. Sorry, Parth. And NHL, which, sorry, Leafs. That was brutal the other day. 7 straight game 7 losses. Yikes. And FanDuel's giving you a shot to bring home a big win of your own. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. Celtics money line, game 1? Maybe. That's $150 to bet on spreads, money line, player props, and more. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on and make every playoff shot count. FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day, we are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. And also, if you want to get the evaluation of, I think, all these players that we're talking about today, except maybe 2, maybe 3, go join the Locked On Gators Insiders group if you want to. It's joinsubtext.com/LockedOnGators. So we've got a ton done. We've got a lot more coming as well. But at receiver, the Florida Gators are in an interesting spot here because I think when you look at the present and the future for the Florida Gators at receiver, remember, present, bona fide, proven, good starter. Future, consensus blue chip recruit at that position with less than a year in college or no more than a year in college. Present, Trey Wilson, true freshman All-American. I mean, just elite freshman season. Future, Trey Wilson, consensus blue chip recruit last year. I believe he was, I don't think he was a 5-star plus, but he's a 5-star, I think, on 3, and at minimum 4-star everywhere else. So Trey Wilson is in there from the 2023 class. Also in there from the 2023 class is Aiden Mizell. I want to make it clear. Andy Jean is not on this because he was not consensus blue chip. And I understand everybody, like the people are going to be mad about that because everyone loves Andy Jean. I get it. This is don't care about how you feel. Don't care if you think he should have been a consensus blue chip. Don't care about any of that. It's just what they are. So future, Trey Wilson, Aiden Mizell from the 2023 class with no more than a year in college. They're the blue chips at receiver. But you also have 2024 class, Tank Hawkins and TJ Abrams are the only receiver commits for the Florida Gators in 2024. And they're both blue chip players. So the Florida Gators, you have your one present proven option at your one present proven good starter, bona fide. And future, you've got 4 guys at receiver. Which means that at receiver, you have the potential to have a special group there. Like I do mean the potential to have a special group. The potential to have the Alabama a couple of years ago, and it was like Jerry, Judy, Jalen, Waddle, like those kinds of groups. You have the potential to have those kinds of groups. Just know that. Like want to make that clear. Potential, but the fact that you even have that on your roster right now is huge. Like just having the ability to do that is incredible. And yeah, the Florida Gators have that set up right now. At receiver, you're good. Again, I know that I've had my not complaints about Trey Wilson, but I've had my little, I would like to see him play more receiver actually and less of the I guess less of the gadgety type stuff. Like I've said that pretty much the entire time that he's been a Florida Gator. That look, last year what he did was awesome, but it was mostly just behind the line of scrimmage, check down Charlie type stuff. I'd like to see him actually run routes. I don't think it's deniable though that he was very good last year and has the potential to be great as a receiver. Like he has the potential to be the next great Florida receiver, has the potential to be the next Florida Gators first round pick at receiver, which has been a very short time since they've done that, about a week and a half-ish. So very short time since they've done that. But they've got that set up at receiver. Then we talk about offensive tackle to wrap up the offense, and less stellar. Present, none. Present, there is not a bona fide, proven good starter at tackle. And I want to make this one clear too. I don't care if you look at Austin Barber and go, oh, like he was good as a redshirt freshman, was hurt last year, and that's why he played well. Don't care. Didn't play well. Not a bona fide, proven good starter. I am someone who, when Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon committed to the Florida Gators from San Diego State, I was very high on him, and I still am very high on him being a good starter. The thing is, he's going from the Mountain West to the SEC. I'm not willing to say that you're a bona fide, proven good starter at this level. So I am not saying that Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon is a bona fide, proven good starter at offensive tackle for the 2024 season for the Florida Gators in the SEC. I think he will be a good starter, but again, that bona fide, proven stuff, I don't think he's there right now. Just because I don't think he hasn't played at this level. It's hard to say that he is there when he hasn't done it. So for me, I'm saying the present Florida Gators do not have a present answer at offensive tackle or a present proven good starter at offensive tackle, leaving them right now 2 for 3 on the 5 building blocks. Not a bad spot to be in, right? Because again, in a perfect world, you've got 5 of these building blocks for the present, 5 of these building blocks for the future. For the future, the Florida Gators do have 2 offensive tackles that are considered future building blocks, consensus blue chip candidates with no more than 1 year in college. That is Caden Jones from the 2023 class and Fletcher Westphal from the 2024 class. And Caden Jones also, if you recall correctly, or if I'm recalling correctly, and if you remember, was the last commit in the 2023 high school class for the Florida Gators. He committed at the All-American game, I believe it was. And that was after the initial signing day, which Florida, I believe, had everybody sign early. And then, of course, Jaden Rashada stuff happened. But Caden Jones did not play. He was a mid-year enrollee last year. And so that's just stuff where it's like, well, we don't want you to play significant snaps if you're a mid-year enrollee on the offensive line in the SEC. We don't want you playing significant snaps there. And Fletcher Westphal was an early enrollee for the 2024 class, played in the spring game. He will be one of the players that we have an evaluation come out for. But again, we don't want you playing as a true freshman. But having that option, having you there, big. Like that's undeniably big. Having 2 of these blue chip caliber players, got to figure at least like if you say, hey, blue chips have a 50% hit rate, you've got one of your guys then. I don't know what the actual hit rate is for blue chip players, but if you say it's 50%, that's what it is. Like then you've got it. If it's higher than 50%, you've got it. If it's lower than 50%, there's still a chance. Like if each guy has had a 40% hit rate, I'd feel comfortable saying like, all right, well, they get hit. And so you have your answer as a blue chip caliber player with no more than a year in college. Caden Jones, Fletcher Westphal at offensive tackle. Also, guys can move around. Guys can go from tackle to guard, things like that. I'm not worrying about projecting any of that. I'm not worrying about, you brought in Enoch Lagway at offensive tackle. High ceiling, not a blue chip player, right? So you could feel comfortable about him. And again, I do feel like if you just get a little bit of refinement, then we're maybe cooking there. But again, this is the future part is the objectively it is what it is. You don't get to give an opinion on it. It's what it is. And we are about to look at the defensive side of the ball, which has 2 spots as pass rusher and cornerback. But before we get to that, we're going to get a quick word from Monopoly Go. All right. Game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. And I know. You talked about it twice yesterday. You talked about it like 4 times last week. there's just so much good stuff in this game. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with your friends for timed tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. Unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete big albums for big prizes, and cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, which again, like my favorite thing about this game is okay, first off, my favorite thing about the board is my favorite thing about the game is being able to talk and taunt to friends. And my favorite just other thing about this game is the boards that you get to travel to. You start in New York, which if you don't know, I'm a New Yorker, so I love being able to start in New York. You get to go to New Orleans, the Moon, Camelot. There's a ton in this game. Just I like to travel. I get to live vicariously through my playing pieces in this game. So just saying, that's fun for me. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go, so get off the bench and go download it now free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day, we are available daily and free wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. And now that we talk about the defensive side of the ball, I'm going to remind you again. When we say present building block, it is a bona fide, proven, good starter at that position. When we say future, it is a blue chip consensus, blue chip recruit with no more than 1 year in college. That's it. It's very objective on the future part of it. I don't get a say. Present pass rusher, none. Florida Gators do not have a present pass rusher on their roster that is a bona fide, proven good starter. That is what it is. Like, you can say that you feel comfortable about players projecting out this year. I know a lot of people are high on Kelby Collins and TJ Searcy and LJ McCray this year even. But as far as bona fide, proven good starter, not there. Kelby Collins did not play enough last year to say he was a starter. TJ Searcy did not play enough last year to be a starter. Simple as that. It's entirely just, you can't even argue that one, in my opinion, of a proven bona fide good starter. Nope. Not there. Caleb Banks, you can make the argument, but simply put, was not very good last year. Was your second best pass rusher, but was not good, in my opinion, as far as being a good pass rusher. Wasn't there. And I mean, obviously, Princely Mamuelin last year would have been the answer, but, and I know that even if I said that, there would have been Florida Gators fans pushing back. But other Florida Gators fans like myself were like, yeah, proving good pass rusher. But that's not the case. But when you look at the future, very bright, because you've got Kelby Collins, who's now playing the 3 tech, Cameron James, TJ Searcy, who's probably going to be your starting jack this year, and LJ McCray. So you got 4 guys there that, as a, again, consensus blue chip player with no more than a year in college. You've got 4 guys there. If you can get 1 or 2 to hit, you've got your building block of the present at that point. If it's TJ Searcy this year, if it's, I don't think it'll be Kelby Collins this year because he's going to be spending a lot of time rotating around. And I don't think he'll really have, he's not going to be a starter. Simple as that. TJ Searcy, it won't be Cameron James. It won't be LJ McCray. So going into 2025, TJ Searcy is your guy where you go, hey, if you can hit on him, you've got your proven bona fide good starter at this position. That's it. Also, TJ Searcy is, I think, the only one that we have a report on for the Locked On Gators Insiders. And we're going to have, I think, Kelby and LJ coming up too. There's a lot. I forget who's done, who's not done, but we have a long list of players and names. And then you look at the cornerback room, and present, bona fide, proven, good starter, there are 0. Jason Marshall was a 5-star commit. Has not panned out to this point. Devin Moore has been good when he's healthy, but 1, was not the starter last year. And I don't care if you go, oh, he started a game or 2. He was not the starting cornerback last year. And 2, best abilities, availability, got to be available, has not been available to this point. So you don't have a proven good bona fide starter at cornerback for the Florida Gators. But you look at future, Jakeem Jackson, Deshaun Johnson, Jameer Grimsley. All three of them bona fide blue chip recruits. Consensus blue chip recruits with no more than a year in college. Jakeem Jackson, I think, is a very high ceiling. I liked what I saw in film from him last year. Hopefully going to play a bigger role this year, and we will see that continued development. Again, it's important to remember that all three of these guys are high ceiling players. Deshaun Johnson played a lot of safety in high school, learning how to play more corner. Jakeem Jackson was mostly a receiver early in his high school career, and then his senior year, like switched full-time to corner there or switched to starting corner there, and is finally getting that refinement and that coaching, but he's still learning the position, which if you're someone like me, you look at an athlete like Jakeem Jackson with ball skills, aggressive tendencies as a corner, and no technical skill, and you go, man, with just like a little learning how to play the position and just some technical development with press coverage mostly is going to be a thing that he's going to have to learn. But just like you just teach him literally just how to play corner. He doesn't have to be amazing at it, right? But you teach him how to play corner, and you look at the athleticism that he brings to the table and some of the instincts that he brings to the table, and you go, okay, like we can see a jump. I don't like, for the most part, development is not linear to begin with. It's very rare that a guy gets, 10% better this year, 10% better this year, 10% better. Like, that's just not how things usually work. And when you talk about someone like Jakeem Jackson or Jameer Grimsley or Deshaun Johnson, like those three guys, I think you can kind of fit in the bucket of like they're learning how to play corner at the SEC level. When you give them a year or two, you're expecting to see a jump at some point. It's not linear. You're probably going to see a big jump. And if you don't see a big jump within 2 or 3 years of learning how to play the position, then you can kind of go, all right, they're just probably not going to hit. And it's as simple as that. I do think that that's one of those positions where you pick up a little bit of technical ability with your athleticism, with your traits, and you go, all right, jump should be here. And if it's not there, and again, by 2, maybe 3 years in, then you can kind of call it. But as far as the future goes, like I do think Jakeem Jackson and Jameer Grimsley show more promise than Deshaun Johnson, but that's not a knock on Deshaun at all. I think that the ceiling for Jakeem and Jameer, insane, just through the roof. There is no ceiling. That's what we're talking about there. But again, for the Florida Gators, you wrap up with only 2 out of 5 as far as present building blocks, but for the future, you've got multiple guys at every position except for quarterback, where you've just got DJ Lagway as a future. But I feel like, for me at least, I feel comfortable having multiple guys as potential future building blocks or as definite future building blocks with the potential to become present building blocks. I feel very comfortable having those guys there. You've got multiple options. So again, like on this show, I feel like I talk about it all the time. It's not realistic to expect everyone to hit. It's just not realistic to expect everyone to develop the way that you anticipate them developing. But having those options, big for you. Like having that potential is big for you, because you got 3 guys at corner, 4 at pass rusher, 4 at receiver, 2 at offensive tackle. You got to feel pretty comfortable that for everything except maybe tackle, at least one guy's going to hit. Even if the blue chip hit rate is like 33%, then you've got a pretty good shot at every spot except tackle there. But even then, again, I do feel pretty comfortable with tackles, just developing and having the traits and the tools. And I do think that they swung on a lot of 3-star guys that aren't blue chips that can develop and become pretty good. So I mean, you have to feel comfortable as far as the future building blocks go towards actually building this roster. At least I do. If you don't, let me know. But I feel pretty comfortable with it. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day, every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with Giants Country and NFL 33, and I will see you all next time.